What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 11 of the Potty Mouths podcast on October 15th, 2024. I, as always, am Greg, here with
Vinny.
And let's get to it. The weekend that was in sports. Start off with NFL, then we're going to a new little segment called Diaper Dandies. Then we're going to go into college reaction. Then we'll go into the MLB playoffs. Then we have a new little segment involving Vinny heavily. And then we'll finish, of course, the WNBA finals, the latest with that. So first things first, let me turn off the intro song. Jags and Bears in London. I listened to the professional gamblers on ESPN radio. And they were all like, "Hey, it's the last time to bet the Jags. They're starting off hot. You can get them cheap. It's probably the last weekend. You can really get them at a decent price here." And then they got walloped by an improving Caleb Williams. And the Bears beat them 35-16 in London. Not gonna lie, did not watch this game. But I saw the highlights and it didn't look pretty and it didn't look close. Any thoughts? Any reaction? Did you watch it? Were you busy? Were you coloring?
No, I was actually watching this game because I bet the Bears team total over.
Ooh.
I read the same nonsense as you did with these Jaguars. I hope at the end of the day that Doug Peterson is left in London after this week's game against New England. They looked so bad. They looked so flat, like they gave up. Caleb looked good. He had a strong second half. First half is where the Jaguars could have put some points on the board, but ETN fumbles, gets hurt. Lawrence just, I guess I expect more out of him being as highly paid as he is at this point, and I don't know what determined them to pay him as much money as they did, but he just was in a lot of third and longs, and it was penalties. It was just not a good game for the Jaguars overall. Caleb is getting better every week. I'm not a big Caleb Williams guy, but he found Kmet a lot this game, and Keenan Allen too. So he's he moved the ball around a lot. And you know what? Who actually looked like a running back this week was DeAndre Swift. Jaguars defense isn't a slouch by any means, but they looked bad this week. Bad loss for them. But much improved Bears team. They should win 10, 11 games this year, actually, I think, if they keep playing like this. So it was a good win for the Bears in London.
Yeah, that division quickly has become the best, especially if the Browns are going to start selling. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Right.
Next game, good game. But Harbaugh does what he does, and the Ravens beat the Commanders 30-23. I know Harbaugh has great numbers against rookie quarterbacks. Jaden didn't play bad.
Nope.
He played well, but that Ravens team is pretty well-rounded. They've hit their stride after, 0-2, right?
Yep.
And Baltimore is just going to be Baltimore. And we'll see what they can do if they can dethrone the Chiefs finally. But not a bad performance out of the Commanders or Jaden. You were saying before we started recording that you love Jaden, so I'll let you get into that.
Yeah, I mean, you take him off the field and you put some of the quarterbacks that they've had in the past in this game. It's not a game.
Gus Frerotte.
So much Jason Campbell, like those guys, and RG3s, and maybe Cousins would have a chance, but
Old McNabb. They had old McNabb, right?
They did have old McNabb. They also had an old
Sanchez.
Dion played for them too back in their
after he got pinched for roids on the Ravens.
So yeah, it might have happened then, but the difference if you're looking at stats here, Derrick Henry has another monster game, right? 132 yards on the ground, but the big turning point was Zay Flowers had a really good game. He found him early in the game. I think he went off like a 60-yard catch and run, which kind of started that whole momentum for that connection all game. Real running game for the Commanders did not exist, and Daniels was your leading rusher as much as he, threw the ball for almost 270. got Ertz going a little bit, which was interesting more towards in the second half. But even Mark Andrews got involved in the Ravens offense, which was surprising for people who've obviously drafted him for fantasy points. But too much Ravens. Best defense that Daniels saw. This was never out of control. It wasn't like they came back in garbage time. It was a good game, but the running game and Henry was just a little too much for the Commanders. But you got to be happy if you're a Commanders fan with the way what they're doing, how they're doing it. Jaden Daniels, bright spot. Probably just need a little bit more of a running game for him to help him out a little bit. But so far, so good for the Commanders. But good win again for the Ravens too. They're on a roll.
Zay, it ain't
4-2.
so.
Zay, it ain't so. Had a great game. So.
Yeah, we'll see if the Commanders can get a little more playmaking on defense, and they could easily win that division. If Hurts isn't going to be MVP Hurts, and if Dak is not ever going to have a lead again. Next game, speaking of Hurts, well, just quickly, there's the Browns are terrible, and now they're starting to sell. So Browns lose to the Eagles, 16-20. I know Sirianni was like talking trash to fans that were saying fire him. Like he's the gift that keeps giving. Yeah, but the Eagles, get a win. Can't complain about that. And I didn't see much of this game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna waste my time on Browns. But the Eagles are just come out of the bye and they get a win against, on paper, a very good defense. Anything about this?
I mean, the Eagles didn't cover. I can tell you that. Just another example of. I mean, I'm not sold on them to be. I honestly think I think Washington's a better team than they are right now. If they're gonna, I don't know when they play. But it was nice to see AJ Brown back in the lineup for them. That was a big help. But just the Browns, it's tough to watch a game like I didn't watch. Obviously, I watched the Commanders Ravens game. I wasn't really too involved with this Eagles matchup, but it seemed like it was close for the most part for most of the game. I don't know what Sirianni's doing. He's a clown. I think I said it a million times. I think him and Hurts are on completely opposite ends of the world as far as what their strategy is and what their plan is. But the alarming stat here is Barkley running for 47 yards.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
this guy's supposed to be the guy that comes in there, right, and is the Christian McCaffrey savior for the Eagles and a light and a load up for everybody else. And rushing for 47 yards isn't going to really cut it. And you can say what you want about the Browns defense, but Watson's terrible, and that rest of the team is in shambles. And it's not coaching, it's quarterback economics, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, so the Commanders go to. Sorry, are you done? Sorry, I'll cut you off.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just not much to say about a team that beat the Browns. That's supposed to be dominant. They beat them by 4, so I don't.
Yeah, the Commanders go to Philly on a Thursday night in November, and then 3 days before Christmas.
Yeah, that's going to mean something for that division. So
yeah. And then a game we both liked. We both, I'm sure, bet. The Lions go into Dallas and steal their souls and get out of there with a 47-9 victory. They were pulling out trick plays. They were doing whatever they wanted. They had more linemen in any game ever, I'm sure, that were eligible because of the debacle last year where the guy didn't report and they called the touchdown back.
Right.
Montgomery played great. Goff is like the best game manager, this decade.
Goff's good.
He's not going to go out there and win your game. I don't care what you say. Whatever. They know what they're doing around him, and I know I've spoken not poorly, but I've been a little down on Ben Johnson. But I guess he is pretty damn creative when he wants to be. And I think he's going to get a damn good job because I think the Lions are going to probably be in the Super Bowl at this point. I think they're going to beat my Packer pick. I was going with the little Jordan Love resurgence. But we'll see. The Lions are for real. They're probably the best team in the NFC. If your Niners aren't going to get healthy, and if we'll see when they play the Vikings, those are going to be fun games if everyone's healthy. Obviously, that can't be the case with Hutchinson going down with a broken leg. I believe he's out for the year. Did they announce that?
They said 4 to 6 months, so I'm assuming the year.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'll let you touch on the your favorite team, the Cowboys.
I don't know what more there is to say about how bad they are and how bad the contracts look, how much money you spent to score 9 points at home on your boy Lamb and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's, and I've said it week after week. Somebody has to call me and tell me what's going on that he deserved that contract, because this is an embarrassment. I don't care who's hurt on the Cowboy defense. I don't care how much money these guys. This is just an embarrassment. And the only dark cloud over this game for the Lions was the Hutchinson loss, which is a huge loss for them. He was playing lights out. He's just plays hard every single game, that kid. And you feel bad for, in a game like this, losing him is awful.
Hurt on a sack.
On a sack, and he completed the play. Jared Goff throws for another 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Montgomery, and the scary part is Gibbs didn't even really have he played a little, like he played.
Gibbs did okay. It was a Montgomery and Goff game.
But they have so many weapons that Ben Johnson is looking like a genius, but he's got guys in every spot.
And he has the best line in football. That's why I think Ben Johnson's shine is a little overrated, but he's going to get a good job if he wants to leave.
Get a good job, and he's not going to be a jet coach, I don't think, because I think he's smarter than that.
That's to our point on Friday.
Right.
He's gonna have whatever job he wants, and why would he want to choose to deal with?
He might be coaching in that stadium again.
Dysfunction. The Giants?
Cowboys.
Oh. Yeah. I thought you meant MetLife. Yeah. That would be a pretty damn good hire for them. But I'd like to see. I'm not here to defend the Cowboys every week. I do think Dak's good, but
I don't think he's good.
I'd like to see them get a little more help offensively than
what?
Cooks didn't even play. Like that's their number 2. I'm saying, but like they have no depth.
Well, you're paying 2 guys $3 billion.
I get that, but you could still draft a good receiver once in a while.
Yeah, no, of course they can, but they wanted to sign Ezekiel Elliott, who's 100 years old again, and they're going to preserve, I guess, for maybe next year for 25. That was the talk last week. They want to make sure he's healthy at the end of the season for whatever. God only knows what I don't know what they're going to wait for. Maybe he can go back into the Christmas red thing bowl that they hide in when they score a touchdown once a year. Maybe they're waiting for that. I don't know.
Foundation
whatever it is. Yeah, let them jump in there again.
Foundation Army doesn't sound right.
It is the Salvation Army.
Salvation. I said Foundation. Right. Yeah, Salvation Army.
So let him jump in there. Let him save himself for that because they stink. That team's terrible. Jerry Jones has to go. This game is well past them.
They'll never
sit home and watch.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Something has to change. Unless he has us all fooled and he really doesn't. Maybe he's like little Hal Steinbrenner. He just wants to make money. He's not really going for the titles, but he'll spend money to please the fans.
He's got all of his family members in the box that are part of the organization that know more football than he does at this point, and I can't imagine that they're overridden over by him every other decision that's made. I mean, you're gonna tell me Dak Prescott's worth that money? I don't understand it. What has he done to deserve that money?
Only argument I have is consistent, and they're in the playoffs every year.
Okay,
that's all I got for you. He puts up monster numbers, but they're usually trailing, so he has to air it out.
Jared Goff's better than him.
I would disagree, but
Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl also.
Yeah, but he had an all-star team, a great line, and probably a Hall of Fame coach.
Cowboys line's not bad.
It used to be good. Now it's
all
right, last game of the NFL we'll get into. My former favorite team, the New York Jets, play at home on Monday night. I knew they'd be competitive, but hey, the problems are still there. Penalties. Um, but the offense looked decent. But
It's gonna look better now.
no pass rush. Um, lapses on defense when the play breaks down, but that's gonna. I mean, Josh Allen's a nightmare to cover, but still,
Yeah.
other teams figured him out, and they do have losses. So Bills come in to MetLife and get to Aaron, here and there. There were fumbles, sloppy game, tons of penalties, and Greg the leg hits doinks two different occasions, and the Bills win 23-20 on a late hell of an interception. Mike Williams falls down. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers comes out and says that Mike Williams ran the wrong route. So I don't know why he's throwing Mike Williams under the bus there. But maybe it worked out because less than 24 hours later they get Davante Adams, which is weird. And that the only positive I'll say was that Lazard Hail Mary was phenomenal. Rodgers pulls another one out of his ass with a great throw. He still had his arm. He's not deteriorating like Drew Brees was, or even like Cam Newton. Cam Newton couldn't throw 40 yards this last year. So we'll see what they have. Like I said, they have a new weapon. I guess we'll get into that real quick, but or shortly. And well, no, well, I'll let you finish this game, and then we'll get into the trade.
No, I was impressed with the kid Davis running for the Bills last night. He ran hard. Rookie from Kentucky played. He came down the first drive and kind of ran through the Jets defense, which I think has been having problems with the run. But I honestly didn't think this game was going to be that close. I thought the Bills would kind of come out and take care of the business down there, and Josh Allen shows them who's boss. But Greg the leg kind of had the game on his foot a couple times there, but you're going to really blame Mike Williams for that? I mean, whatever, it is what it is, I guess. He slipped and fell. I don't know what the route was, but
I think he was supposed to be outside the numbers. He was inside the numbers.
How many penalties did they have last night, by the way?
I don't even know the total.
A ton.
It was Salah's fault. That's all Salah. It's all on Salah.
Yeah, it was Salah. That's a good point, actually. He was probably part of that process, but just what I expected from the Jets. I didn't expect them to win this game. Rodgers almost threw for 300. Excuse me. Brees Hall, decent game, 113 on the ground.
Yeah, Wilson and Hall looked good.
Now you got Lazard and Adams back together. So, I mean, it's whatever. It's the Jets, same old nonsense. I hate to say it because I actually root for them in the sense of, I don't have a New York team in the race, but if I am going to root for somebody, it'll be the Jets, and it's hard to just be on their bandwagon at this point for anything. So, I said it last week too. I thought on paper they have the best roster next to the Niners before the season started. So,
well, you say same old Jets, but there's a new Jet in town. So they acquired Davante Adams this morning, for a third-round pick. That could be a second-round pick if with incentives.
Taking his salary on too, all the money.
Yeah, so
which means Rodgers will be back next year.
Yeah, well, I think Davante has two more seasons on his contract.
Exactly.
So Rodgers gets his favorite toy. Woody caters to Rodgers yet again.
Yeah.
So now as Don McGregor on ESPN Radio, he said it, like, now you have to make the playoffs. This is your silver platter. You got your offensive coordinator who got demoted, rightfully so, and now you have your favorite toy. You have Lazard. You got Cobb last year. They're doing everything for you, other than asking Mercedes Lewis to switch teams. So my buddy texted me in a group chat and he said, "Is it a big deal that Davante's a Jet?" And on paper, I think the Jets have 6 problems. On the field, the biggest problem is in the owner's box. But on the field, I'll give the Jets 6 problems. It's pre-snap penalties, confusion with receivers, like miscommunication, penalties in general, a pass rush, and run defense. with 2 of those, he helps. So I think he helps 2 of their 6 problems. He can't block. Oh, sorry, O line. The O line is an issue. So I'll say maybe I'll put all the penalties into one. So he helps with 2 of the 6. He can't block for Rodgers like an O line, and he can't stop the run. He can't rush the passer. So now they've given Hassan Reddick permission to talk to other teams for a trade. I don't want picks back. I want a starter on the D line or a pass rusher. Obviously, he won't be as good as Reddick, but you need to, if you're going to trade Reddick, don't just get the pick back that you traded, because who cares? You're all in, obviously. You've lost, yeah, like you moved on from Salah. You just traded for a number one receiver, a pretty damn good one. So it's time to move Reddick, but get a player. Don't get a pick. Who cares? Get someone who can help rush the passer or stop the run. And I heard Bart Scott say it's time to call up the Browns to see if any of their D linemen are available, because they also. I didn't have the picture. I'll do it right now. The Browns, shortly after the Davante news, go and trade Amari Cooper to the Bills, who are like, not so fast. Not so fast, New York. We have a little trick up our sleeve too, which, it's gonna help. It's gonna help Josh Allen and them boys up in Buffalo. So, thoughts on both trades? Do you think one will work better than the other? Do you think this is? Do you think this makes the Jets and Bills much closer to the Bills and Ravens? What do you think?
I think the Bills are the beneficiary of Cooper. I think he's making like no money, and he's gonna have a quarterback again, which is nice. So I think in the long run, the Bills are a step ahead of where the Jets are, just from salary standpoint and not really giving up a lot to get them. My mom texted me and said, "Does Davante Adams stop the penalties?" And I said, "Mom, I don't think so."
I think he
So
helped with the cadence stuff, but
that's fine.
no. The short answer is no. The long answer is
No,
no.
no, and like you had said too, you're giving away picks and this and that, but I think Cooper is going to be the bigger difference maker at this particular point with helping out his team, and I think that the Jets just had to make that move just to keep Rodgers from exploding at this point, because I think we were getting to that. So now he gets to calm down a little bit. He has his buddy there now. He's all of his buddies there. Randall Cobb might come back right now. Who knows?
Good looking man, that Randall Cobb.
Yeah, good looking kids too. Good looking. Whole family's good looking. But no, I think in the long run the Bills benefit more. I think it'll help them out. That was the other piece that they were missing. We talked about that. James Cook comes back healthy. Now they have 2 backs in the backfield that can play, because that kid last night can play. So I'm not. This is just too late for the Jets, in my opinion. I think this should have happened 2 weeks ago when this whole thing started. And I think it would have benefited. Would have helped them out a little bit more going into this last 2 games. So we'll see what happens going forward. Who do the Jets have up next?
Monday night Steelers,
In Pittsburgh?
who are giving. I believe that's in Pittsburgh.
Russell Wilson's
getting first team snaps, which is
I
good
don't
for Pickens.
I don't understand that at all. Yeah,
I do. I think it's the right move. I think if Russell Wilson started the game against the Cowboys, I think they could put a drive together and hold off the Cowboys. I don't think Fields can go down and get you consistent drives, and I think Russell Wilson, if he's entered there, he unlocks George Pickens, who in my opinion is a top 10 talent at receiver, but with Fields he's more like top 40. So at that I get. But we'll see. And then just the Cooper and Adams moves, it makes those wide receiver core like really deep. Like Lazard's your 4 now, like that's pretty damn good. And like Keon Coleman is, you can say he's the 2 or the 3, depending on how you feel about Shakir. and they have the two.
Yeah, no,
They have the two tight ends.
no, brings
So
depth definitely.
I'm sure Rogers and Allen are, like pigs and shit today. And it's going to help Garrett Wilson now and in the long run, who had a little rough go of it the first couple weeks of the season and in London, but there
Yeah,
was
because you're gonna
some
have to make
weather there. But
defenses.
I don't want to make excuses. There was some weather there, but Garrett looked
No,
great
like,
last night. But we'll see.
well,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna
We'll
make
see.
defenses have to make choices now on those two guys, and if anybody can make that decision even harder for them, it's gonna be Rodgers because
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around the league for 100 years. So
All right.
let's see what happens.
We have a new segment that Vinny's gonna lead up for us, and it is called, if I can find the graphic. It's called Diaper Dandies. I don't know if I have the graphic here. Let me get the graphic. Hang tight. So what we're gonna do every week is we're gonna, whether it's the NFL, maybe in the summer we'll do a little MLB, and then NBA, NHL. We can get into Diaper Dandies, and we're just gonna spotlight very quickly the rookies that are making an impact in the league. So once I get this image up, I'll give Vinny the okay. Bear with us. We do this live. Boom. Vin, you're up.
So Diaper Dandies this week. We have Caleb Williams coming in against the Jaguars, 23 of 29 for 226 yards, 4 passing touchdowns and 1 interception over across the pond against the Jaguars. Good game for probably the best one this week out of this group. Jaden Daniels coming in at number 2. 24-35, 269 in the air, 2 touchdowns, 22 rushing yards for him against the loss. But my favorite player to watch right now by far, Jaden Daniels. My pick right now for Rookie of the Year. My pick before the season started for Rookie of the Year. Next up, Marvin Harrison Jr. concussed. He is injured in this game. He didn't do much at all. Unfortunate because he was starting to come around a little bit. So we'll see if he's back, how severe that is. Brian Thomas down in Jacksonville this week, three catches, 27 yards. Not really the stat line of the week for rookie receivers. And then to finish it out, we're gonna close it out with Tyrone Tracy from the Giants, 50 rushing yards, 57 receiving yards, and 1 rushing touchdown.
He's good. I like him.
My counterpart says that the Giants are absolutely going to get him killed, which is a definite possibility because they're terrible.
Yeah, Neighbors is already out, 2-week concussion, which is rare, which is not a good sign. And
not a good sign.
And Tracy, just all they do is feed him the ball, and he was getting manhandled after positive yardage. But I'm worried that Dable's gonna get these kids killed. But yeah, that was Diaper Dandies.
Brought to you by Diaper Dandies.
Diaper Dandies.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a little fun with the Diaper Dandies. That's old Mr. What's his name from the NCAA, right?
Dick Vitale.
Yeah, loves that stuff.
Yeah,
loves that
his
stuff.
freshman, his star freshman.
Yeah. So let's touch on some college football here. Let's get right into it. SEC football. South
Carolina, baby.
Bama. Yeah, they might as well combine at this point.
The Tarcocks.
Bama 21-point favorites. Just I don't know how they pulled this off. Honestly, I watched the game. It was a pretty tough game to watch if you're an Alabama fan. 27-25, Bama beats SC at home. What'd you think about this game in Alabama?
They survived. It was after a loss to Vanderbilt. You'd think they'd come out and light the world on fire, but maybe, just maybe, they're looking ahead to Tennessee this upcoming weekend. And maybe South Carolina had a fire lit under them after they got trounced by Ole Miss at home. So, listen, a win's a win. Bama gets out of there with a win, and We'll see. We'll see if Bama goes out and lights up the scoreboard against a very good Tennessee team and defense. Then all's well. It ends well. But maybe sound the alarm for Bama. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna reserve my full thought and either panic or calmness after I see the Tennessee result.
I mean, Tennessee this past week was whatever.
Yeah,
Not.
we'll get into that quickly.
Yeah. So we're going to number 10 Clemson playing Wake Forest. Clemson comes away 49-14. Kubiak has a big game for them. Just really, Clemson's really kind of come into their own since that first game against Georgia this year. 5-1 now. Kubiak throws for 309, 3 touchdowns. Running back at 118.
Are you thinking Gary Kubiak, their quarterback?
What's his name?
I think it's Cade Klubnik.
It's all the same. We all know who we're talking about here. They put up a big second quarter, and they ran away with this one in this game. Did you watch any of this at all? Because I definitely did not.
I saw the highlights. The only reason we put it on the docket to talk about it is because now Clemson's 10 now, and they're putting up offensive numbers. And they were 10. I don't know if they're higher now, but after the weekend. But we'll get into that Thursday. But Clemson looks like a Clemson team of old. They're squashing teams, not giving up many points after they got absolutely trounced by Georgia. So just a team to look out for. Maybe they're for real. Maybe they're going to march into a top 5 season again. We'll see. It's just worth mentioning that how good they've been. Wake Forest is, not a great opponent, but it's a good win for Clemson. And if they keep impressing like that, I think the voters will help them out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's going to give the Canes a game in the ACC, that's going to be them, obviously. So we'll see how that works out. But,
still sleeping on Louisville.
Yeah. So we're going to go into the Red River Shootout. Texas, number 1 Texas, goes and plays the Oklahoma Sooners. Texas 34, Oklahoma 3. Not the game that I was expecting. I was expecting some more points out of Oklahoma, but Texas looked like the number 1 team in the nation. Just put up a good second quarter, kind of put that game out of reach. And, the whole Oklahoma scoreless for 3 quarters is pretty good. Ewers had a good game, almost 199 in the air, 1 touchdown. Kid Wisner had 118 on the ground and a touchdown. So Texas is obviously number 1 for a reason, and they're on both sides of the ball. They're pretty dominant, and they showed it that with this weekend in Dallas. Did you catch any of this one?
Yes, that's a phenomenal win. We talked about how Oklahoma would probably cover. Did not expect this. That game's always weird. I figured Oklahoma would be ready to play. But looking at what Texas has this weekend, this is a phenomenal result. For these kids not to go out there and, look ahead or get too full of themselves. They took care of business against their arch rival, and now they play a Georgia team looking to make a statement after the Bama loss. So that was pretty damn impressive. Texas is officially on my radar. If they weren't already, they were. But the mentality to go there and do that to a ranked Oklahoma team, right? Oklahoma's in the teens, right? They were in the teens, right?
Maybe.
Well, to do that anyway, to do that in one of the most high-profile games every year.
Yeah, 18.
18. Yeah. It's impressive, and I'd like to see where Texas can go this year. They might find themselves against this Georgia team, or maybe an Ohio State, or Oregon, or Alabama, or Miami in the championship. So we'll see. I was pretty impressed.
I always feel like we talk about this Texas team and this program, how they're always going to be. They're like always supposed to be like the next everything. They're going to win the national championship, and they're all this. If it's any team that's going to do it this year, this is their team. But like you just said, you run into a Georgia team, or you run into an Alabama that's maybe figures it out. It could be interesting
Yeah,
at the end there. But
anything's possible in the playoff, but they have an ace in the hole. If God
yep,
forbid, Ewers goes down, it's we got a Manning, so they're
yep,
well
no
equipped.
problem, no problem. Yeah, we're loaded in every position. Don't worry about it. Next up, Penn State goes to USC. Overtime game. Number 4 Penn State escapes the Coliseum 33-30. I was praying that Penn State lost this game. I picked USC to win this game. Um, I'm say what you want. They're number 4 in the nation, so on and so forth. Um, I'm not a Penn State believer, but good win for them on the road. I was impressed with USC this game. We talked last week, and I was praying that they did win, but obviously I'm on the other side of that just because of the Miami rankings. But good win for Penn State on the road. Overtime took it for them to get there, but almost 400 yards in the air for how do you say that? Alar, is that his name?
Yeah.
And then their receiver goes off for almost 230 yards and a touchdown. But hey, listen, USC matched them, so I was shocked that it was this close. In a game that I obviously was picking USC to win, it could have really been a complete lopsided disaster for Lincoln Riley because he's the most overrated coach in the world. But good win for the Nittany Lions on the road. Did you see any of this matchup?
Yeah, I turned it on, especially late. Questionable coaching on both ends. Here's my question: USC get up for them, or did Penn State come down to them? So I have a question for both teams.
Who are you?
I don't know who either team is yet. Number 4 for Penn State's crazy to me. Can they keep up with the Oregons and the Ohio States? We'll see. Even can Michigan run it down their throats a second year in a row? I don't know about that, but I just don't trust that. Like you said, I think both coaches are pretty overrated, and when the lights are brightest, they kind of fold. So we'll see. I when I look at the rankings, I'm pretty damn surprised to see where they have Oregon and Penn State, um, because I think in an honest moment on a neutral field, I think Miami, I think Georgia, I think Tennessee, I think Bama, are all taking out Oregon and Penn State, but we'll see.
And USC's played a harder schedule this year so far going into that game. They opened up with good Tigers, and they played Michigan already this year, and they've played, Wisconsin and Minnesota teams both played them pretty close too. So it wasn't like the Bowling Greens and Kent States of the world that Penn State's played. So I'm
Yeah.
not all in on that. You haven't sold me on it. Franklin's a loser. The program's whatever.
They're always the 14th best team in the country, which means they're going to be in the playoff often. If they fluctuate between 10 and 15 every year. But wake me up when Penn State's in the semifinal, if that ever happens.
Florida Gators going to the Volunteer State to play the Tennessee Volunteers. Another overtime game. 23-17, Tennessee comes up on top. I don't. You want to ask who are you for these two teams? Because
hold on, let me get it.
At least Tennessee.
Let me get it. Hold on.
Who are you?
Who are you, Tennessee? Had some little kid on the radio station the other day telling Heupel to open up the playbook a little bit more for their offense because they're just so boring. But they're so talented, which blows my mind. But I didn't think this game would be close. I thought Tennessee at home would actually handle, a really bad Gators team. I don't even know how that guy has a job still. I've said that since week 1. Shocking to me that Tennessee had to pull this off in overtime. Your thoughts in your SEC?
This game and the next game we're going to talk about correlate to The Bama game we talked about and the Texas game we talked about. Tennessee could be. Listen, I think Florida has improved. They trounced UCF when everyone thought UCF was probably going to use their run game and win that game in the swamp. Um, Tennessee went down early. They came back and win in overtime. They do what they were supposed to do and beat Florida, but should not have been that close. Should not have went to overtime. Possibly look ahead game to Bama. So that's my thought on that. Where Bama kind of did the same thing and barely won at home against an inferior opponent in South Carolina. That's why that's on this docket to talk about. The same with the next game that Vinny will get you to.
Staying in the SEC, Mississippi State goes to play number 5 Georgia. Ton of points in this game. I didn't expect Mississippi State to put up 31 points. Georgia comes away with a 10-point victory at home. SEC football is just a different monster. It's so much more exciting than every other conference in the NCAA. But good win for the Dogs. I feel like every game they play lately is kind of close. I mean, that's a close game for them, though.
That's why. Clearly looking ahead to Texas, they give up 31 points to a terrible Mississippi State team. But again, you get a win. And if it is a closer game, so maybe they'll be battle proven, even more so. Any SEC team worth a damn is battle tested. But we'll see how these are all going to lead up to the big games this weekend. This month closes out with some great games in college football, starting with this weekend coming up. And hey, did Texas shoot? We'll get into this a little more Thursday, but did Texas shoot all their bullets?
No.
All right, we'll see.
I don't think. I mean, if you're smart, you didn't. I don't think they did. I can't tell you what their playbook is and what they.
Right. I'm just saying.
I would say they're not. I would say.
I
no.
wonder how Sark and what's his name and Kirby are I wonder how they're both looking or thinking after those games. But anyway,
what was your flush pick for college this week, by the way?
Oh God, I had Illinois. It was -19 to start, then I got up to like 22.5. I still bet it. I still would have made it my flush pick. The whole world was on it. Kids are like transferring out of Purdue and whatever. And they went up 24-0.
They came back, right? Purdue.
And Illinois had to win in overtime, 50-49.
Yeah, tough.
So that's a tough flush loss, but I won my NFL, so
all right. I'm gonna throw this out there. BYU beat Arizona handedly, 41-19. That was my pick of the week. Not on the docket, but I just put it on the docket.
Do we want to do flush picks? Do we want to get into flush on Thursdays or Tuesdays? Let's talk in front of
I just wanted to go through your results. That's all. I mean, Thursday's games for preview, and I just wanted to talk about the Illinois game. That's all.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
We're gonna stay in the SEC for another good game, right? Well, number 9 Ole Miss against the number 13 ranked Tigers in Baton Rouge. Overtime, a lot of overtime games this week. A lot of meaningful overtime games, really.
Yeah.
LSU comes up 29-26 over the hot toddy Ole Miss group. I watched a little bit of this game. Wasn't really overly impressed, but good win for the Tigers at home. What does this put them in the rankings now?
I did not do any
number
prep
8
for the Thursday.
Number 8. They're 8 in the country right now. There you go.
A little busy with Mets and Jets yesterday.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. But now they're number 8 in the country after that Ole Miss beating them at home, and Nussmeier had a good game, right? I mean,
yeah, great game.
I think I've told you before. He's my guy. I like the way he plays.
Super fun to watch. LSU makes that adjustment at halftime on defense every game, and they were brutalizing Dart. It was just a classic Death Valley win. At night, they make enough plays late. They get it to overtime. Nussmeier with the last minute touchdown to put it to overtime, and then boom, it finds Lacey in the front corner of the end zone. Lacey's great. Looked like he was going to leave the game. A little injury scare. But no. But they hang tough. LSU without their best player on defense, they've made some plays. So people are stepping up, and that's what Brian Kelly needs. He needs everyone, on the same page, and they can do some good things. And this is now a possible playoff team after it was looking a little shaky after the USC loss. So I'm happy. And when the time comes, bring on Bama and Oklahoma, and let's see how good they really are. So I'm excited after this win. Crowd definitely helped. Almost looked a little shook late with the noise and looked a little discombobulated, and it showed. And LSU gets a win. Good win.
Yeah, good SEC game. I mean, listen, SEC games this week were awesome, and that was another good one. You can't extra anything more to that conference, like I said. So, moving on to the last game on this slate, number two, Ohio State goes into Eugene. Number 3, Oregon comes up with a 1-point victory over the Buckeyes. Watched a little bit of it. Wasn't really too interested in the game. I don't really, good. It was what we said it was, but I actually a lot better than what I thought it would be. I actually thought Ohio State would run away with this one. I didn't think Oregon was capable of doing what they did this week, but good win for the Ducks at home. I don't know how that goes in Columbus. Probably just the other way, but Gabriel had a great game. Running back had another 115 yards for them on the ground. Ohio State running game was decent. Wasn't really what it could be. Obviously, they're known for their, throwing the ball more with all the receivers they have, and Howard being their quarterback. But thoughts on this? Number 3, Oregon beating the Buckeyes.
I listened. It was on my computer, but I was focused on the LSU game. But listen, I was paying attention as much as I could while watching every snap of LSU. Back and forth. I believe there were 8 lead changes. Exciting. Could arguably the best game of the weekend. Like you said, a number of games went to overtime. I expected Ohio State to overwhelm them with talent. Didn't happen. So good on Oregon. And both teams will be fine. Like you said, if this was in Columbus, I think Ohio State probably wins by 3-6.
Right.
But the shining moment for me was the meaningless slide last time we expired.
Oh yeah.
From Will Howard, and I love shit like this. I mean, this brought me back to what it was Dak, right? Like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
Late Dak Prescott, who underperforms in the playoffs here and there. So these images that Vinny can't see are just
the least he underperforms.
They're
Stinks.
just great. Will Howard just looking defeated because he was. I have no love for either team. I don't hate Oregon. I don't like Lanning. So, but yeah, Ohio State can go suck.
I didn't know much about him, but I saw a nice story about him on game day with the family and the wife being sick, and I
didn't see that at all.
It was, yeah. So she had bone cancer and she went through a lot. And Mike Norvell, they were in Memphis at the time. It was Dan Lanning's. He might rub you the wrong way in some of the things that he says.
He's annoying.
But what, for the most part, I give him a lot of credit for what he had to go through with that family and what he's done for that. For those kids and his wife. So that was a nice story that game day had. Let me just touch base on this one quick too. 31-28 Kansas State beating the Buffaloes in Boulder. Thank God they beat them. Buffalo stink, and Shiloh Sanders looks like he couldn't play in a Pee Wee football league at Hicksville. So good for the Wildcats there. Nice win in Colorado.
Hicksville's my hometown.
Yep.
On Long Island, and we are not known for our football program.
And last thing, the kid from Boise State is amazing, and that's all
Yeah.
I'm going to say
He'll
about
be in
that.
New
The
York.
running back, Jetney, yeah, he's awesome. So good for the
Keep
college.
saying that.
Good week of college football.
So far, I have Cam Ward, the Boise State. Is it Jeanty?
Yeah, something like that. I think it's
Jaunty.
like Jaunty or something like that. He's
He'll
awesome.
be in. I have given 3 people invites to New York, so I only have 1 left. And I think I gave Milrow an invite to New York. We'll see. I thought Carson Beck was going to win the Heisman before the year, so
yeah,
I don't know. And then the last note on college, before we get into the MLB postseason, Army and Navy, both 5-0 since for the first time since 1945. Both ranked for the first time since 1960. Pretty impressive. They could play each other twice this year. So keep an eye out for the armed forces. Thank you for your service. Keep an eye out for some Army and Navy wins. They look pretty damn good. So good for them.
both better than Notre Dame.
Navy plays Notre Dame coming up.
They'll lose.
So we'll get into MLB. The Mets and Dodgers tied at 1. First game was Sunday night. I didn't love the Senga start, and I'm not saying that because it failed. I'm saying that I would have tried to match the Game 2 bullpen game with a Senga bullpen game because Senga wasn't going to go more than 3, and the Mets bullpen isn't as deep. So I don't love what they were going with, and I'm not just saying that because of what happened. I thought it was a little weird. When you have your advantage being your starting pitching, you should use the best starting pitching, which would be Manaea game 1. But Mets bounce back. Great game for the Bats in game 2. Grand slam from Vientos got them off and running. Dodgers were late with a 3 innings of at least 2 men on. Got bases loaded a couple times, right? But ultimately, Diaz nails down the save and quiets those bats, and now they have the off day before 3 straight at Citi Field. Vin, do you have any? I'm sure you have a ton of Mets thoughts, Mets and Dodgers.
So I'm not against the Senga start. If I'm not, let me back the train up here for a second. I would have just started Peterson. I mean, let him go.
I have a question.
Let's just let him go at that point. I don't know the answer because I know you're going to ask me. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you know my question?
I mean, it has to be why isn't he starting? I mean,
yeah. When did Peterson not become good enough to start games, or is it because they don't have lefties in the pen, or is it because we have too many lefties in the rotation?
It's all a possibility. I don't know what the thought process is because I mean, like you said, they're going to throw that Senga Peterson somewhere in the for 1 or 2, but the Dodgers rotation's not very good. So now you got Manaea against. I guess it'll be game 5.
Yeah.
Severino 6 and Quintana 7. So you have those 3 guys to finish up, which I think was the point of why they did what they did, the games that they did it. Because I don't think you want to throw that bullpen game in game 7, right? So
yeah, I don't know. I just would have matched. It's any game 7. All hands are on deck. I mean,
we're not, but we're also not talking about Cy Young versus Senga. We're talking about Flaherty, who imploded the game in San Diego, who had an ERA over I think 5 going into that game. He looked amazing that night against the Mets, who had 1 hit going into the 7th inning.
Yeah.
So it's a game that they realistically should have won regardless because of who's on the mound. Like if it was Kershaw, or if it was prime Greinke as a Dodger, or Buehler from 3 years ago, I get it, but we're talking about Flaherty. We're not, right? So what are we really talking about at that point? You can't get 1 hit going into the 7th inning. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I guess the quote, I don't like this term. They took home field advantage away from the Dodgers because that's not true. It was game 7 still in LA.
Right.
But they, get the split, and I'm sure they would have signed up for that. And now they come home to, I'm sure, will be a raucous crowd. And we'll see how that goes. If you keep the front the first 4 or 5 bats for the Dodgers semi-quiet. You always have a chance. And then the other series,
I did a good job yesterday.
yeah, but was great.
Yep.
And then the other series, the ALCS, Yankees win. They're up one game to none. I believe 5-2 was the final. Cleveland kind of threatened in the first inning, right? I think they had 2 guys on.
They had guys on.
They had guys on here and there, and the Rocchio home run, and they scored another one late, and they threatened, I think, with Weaver on the mound late, but they couldn't get the big hit that the Yankees ultimately got, and they got a bomb from Stanton, who is like a 1 home run behind. I know it's different game totals and different sport and different balls and all that, but I think he's 1 home run behind like Babe Ruth all time in the playoffs. But he's still a ways away from like Bernie Williams. But
yeah, which is crazy.
So yeah, Stanton.
What a Stantonian home run.
Yeah, non si parlo. Whatever the fuck he says. So the Yankees up 1-0. See if Cleveland can bounce back with their impressive pen. But the Cleveland's weakness is always going to be offense. Can they put enough runs on the board to survive a Soto home run, to survive a Stanton home run? So we'll look at that, and then
they got the guys.
What's up?
I think Cleveland has the guys. I mean, you got to have Naylor has to.
They're capable, but I mean, once again, Alex Cobb's the guy to start that game for you in game 1 of the ALCS.
Well, no Bieber hurts.
Right, and then you got to throw Bibby tonight. I mean,
Mike,
whatever. Mike
Bibby.
He probably could pitch better than Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb's best game was a rape 13 years ago.
Yeah. So, all right, we have a new segment. I mentioned one guy that Vinny's about to talk about. I mentioned Soto. He had a home run yesterday. So we have a new segment. It's Vinny Vici. So I'm just gonna give Vin a second here to get whatever's on his mind off his chest or whatever. And he brought up something before we started recording that I did not see today. So Vinny, take it away.
This is a problem. All right. The MLB released their Gold Glove finalists today. And it is a criminal offense for what they did to Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor isn't even a top 3 finalist in this year's awards for 2024 for Gold Glove. He should have won it last year in 2023. He was in as a finalist last year, didn't win. Has the second best stats defensively in the NL as the shortstop, and is not even in the conversation this year. MLB, I guess, has blackballed him, maybe because of his involvement in the players' union, for being outspoken as he is. Maybe that's part of the case. But the man in the field defensively is better than the National League shortstops that are on this list. And once again, it's guys that one's a rookie, Mason Wynn, who I think he plays multiple positions. I don't even think he belongs in this conversation. Dansby Swanson, who I think won last year, and Ezekiel Tovar. Those are the 3 finalists for the NL. Now, we're not talking, the fact that he's going to be runner-up MVP to Ohtani, which has got nothing to do with the fielding, but he's the second best defensive player next to Swanson in this group. So you're going to tell me that you're not a finalist by having the second best stats defensively? Which doesn't even make sense. Then you have guys in the American League that I'm just going to talk about the Yankees quick because I can't wrap my brain around it. That Juan Soto's a finalist for right field. Juan Soto is, I think, the worst right fielder in the American League. And he's a finalist with Verdugo, who's been benched, and Anthony Volpe, who I don't think is a finalist for this position in the American League. And you're going to tell me Francisco Lindor's left off this list. It's a criminal offense. Major League Baseball has a vendetta out against him. He's going to win the Silver Slugger, right? Can we agree with that? They're going to take that away from him too?
I have a thought.
He's got the numbers.
I have a thought.
It's just wrong. What they did to him last year, what they did to him this year, no All-Star game this year. Best numbers as a shortstop going into the All-Star game. Second in the NL MVP. He's going to wind up being, probably should be MVP at this point, but you're not going to agree with that because Ohtani's a 50-50 guy and the Dodgers are loaded 1 through 9, whatever. So the guy who helps his team get to where they are, the most valuable to his team, is not even a finalist for the Gold Glove. And he's a stellar defenseman.
I think what you just said is why I have this weird feeling that, okay, Juan Soto, great year. We can't put him above Judge or Witt and maybe a third guy in Gunnar Henderson. So make him a finalist for a Gold Glove. And then maybe, Lindor, clearly finalist for MVP. Give someone else the Gold Glove spot. I think it's some sick, twisted mentality like that whoever votes on this crap for the MLB, I think that might be their angle. Like, let's get some more names out there because Lindor is going to get MVP votes. He doesn't need the Gold Glove. When he was the graphic on MLB.com's Twitter last year for the whole Gold Glove announcement for the finals. He was the one player on the graphic with just the rest was just names. So that's kind of a stark turn. That's my only thought, is that whoever makes these decisions is saying Lindor is going to get MVP votes. People know who he is. Let's get Tovar. Who was it? Tovar and Wynn. Let's get someone else in there. And Soto he has a good arm. He's an above average arm out there. He is at best an average fielder, and he is slightly below that. If you look at like the advanced statistics, which I have recently, because I want him in Queens.
So the big defensive stat is outs above average, and Dansby Swanson leads the Major League Baseball at 18. Lindor's 16.
And Wynn and Tovar far from that.
Tovar's 15, and Wynn's not even on the list. So
maybe
that's your biggest stat, what are we talking about?
I think this is MLB's piss poor way of promoting players, and Wynn is a nice young exciting player. I watched him at the what was the game at
Futures
the field?
game?
No, the game. He had a good game.
He's a good player.
The Negro League game.
Yeah, I got you.
That they should have been doing every summer.
Yeah.
But anyway, maybe that's their way of showcasing someone else.
So
it's not right.
Is he going to get Rookie of the Year votes?
No, it's going to be Skeens.
But he's going to get
votes. Maybe votes. Yeah,
okay,
no, it'll be Merrill or Skeens, and he'll probably be third.
It's just a disservice to Francisco Lindor. First, the All-Star game because they want to put Pete riding a bull in the pregame, and then into the home run derby, who stunk in the home run derby, and then
Pete's got to hang him up.
Yeah, and then Lindor, who has the best offensive stats off the roster. It's just it's MLB should be ashamed and embarrassed for how they handle themselves. And I guess Luis Severino is the only Met that's on this list for a Gold Glove. Is that real? I don't even know he can play the field. Severino. I don't get any of it either. I think it's an absolute disservice to the New York Mets and Francisco Lindor for what he's done.
And that's been Vinny Vici.
That's it. I'm done for this week.
So we'll see. See if we can find more stuff for Vinny to go on about. That was fun. All right, and the last thing, you know what I'm going to talk about, Vin? The New York Liberty tie up this series with the Minnesota Lynx. Game 3 Wednesday night. Another
good game.
Entertaining game that pulled away late. More stars in the crowd. Fat Joe, Jadakiss performed at halftime. We've seen the likes of Aubrey Plaza there, and it's good stuff. So people are enjoying it. We'll see how far this series goes. I think the Lynx get one at home. I think it goes 5.
I think they're going to play at home. Yeah, I think that's a good one.
I think it goes 5.
I think and that'd be great. That'd be great for the league.
That'd be good. I somewhere I read that the numbers are down since Clark got eliminated. Who gives a shit?
Probably.
It's a good sport. People need to learn who these women are and follow them. And it's basketball. they're not playing in a foreign sport, so get on board.
No, I got it. I'm not disagreeing.
It's something to watch. I know the time slot's a little rough when it's up against other things, but everyone has DVR in the 24, right? Anyway, so that's that. That was our Tuesday episode 11. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. I believe Vinny and I just talked. I believe today might be the day we actually get on to Apple Podcasts and Spotify today, maybe today or tomorrow. So, and then we're going to work on our socials, TikToks and Instagram and X and all that. It's been it's
been fun.
It's been fun. It's been a learning experience. So we're still trying to iron things out. We finally got all the little kinks and sound issues and video issues figured out. So
we're just getting going.
Yeah, just getting started. We're going to try to build this audience, and if you've been with us from the start, thank you. Please, and like, comments, subscribe, tell your friends, tell everyone, and say hi to your mother for me.
We'll pass it on.
Yeah, Vin, say goodbye to the lovely people.
Let's go Mets. Game 3, Flushing. Look for me. I'll be there.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, I'll be there.
Good for you. I'm jealous.
All right. From the game.
Yeah, let me know. Buy me a steak sandwich.
Got his own place now, La Frida.
What?
Got his own steak place now inside the stadium.
Ooh.
And there's a whole bunch of new things, but we'll touch base about that maybe on Thursday.
You heard it here. Let's go Mets. Thanks for watching.
OMG. Let's go.